So this video is about going from improper fractions to mixed numbers, okay? And an improper fraction, of course, is a fraction where the numerator is larger than the denominator. And as I'm teaching this, I'm going to be teaching you the secret of TIBO. TIBO? What's that, you ask? Well, it is not an ancient Chinese martial art. But it's almost as cool. TIBO stands for top, in, bottom, out. Top, in, bottom, out. And you may be asking yourself, how is that going to help me with improper fractions and mixed numbers? Well, I'm so glad you asked. So we're going to do some sample problems over here. I want to know, for example, what 3 halves is equivalent to. Okay? And I like 3 halves because it's pretty easy to picture 3 halves, right? There's 3 halves right there. 1 half, well, I guess that's 4 halves, but 1 half, 2 halves, 3 halves, right? And I think that you can look at that and tell that that's 1 and 1 half. So we're going to use the mystical powers of TIBO to figure out how we got from 3 halves to 1 and 1 half. Top, in, bottom, out. The 3 is the top number. It's going to go inside the little division house. The 2 is the bottom number. It's going to go outside the house. And then I'm going to ask how many times does 2 go into 3? And the answer is 1. 1 times 2 is 2. 3 minus 2 is 1. Now, I know you want to say 1 remainder 1, but here's the magic of fractions and TIBO. Okay? This one right here, becomes a numerator. Okay? It goes up here and becomes 1. Okay? And then this 2 right here becomes a denominator. Okay? And it goes right over here. And there I have 1 and 1 half. 3 halves is equivalent to 1 and 1 half. Okay? Let's do another one that we feel pretty confident about. Okay? Let's do, adjust here. Let's do, sorry, I'm trying to, let's see, if I had 5 thirds, okay, 5 thirds. So, right here, do like a peace sign, that's 1, 2, 3 thirds. So I need another one. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm aware that I didn't draw my thirds perfectly equal, but I did the best I could. So what I have here is 1 and 2 thirds. Okay, so I'm expecting my answer to be 1 and 2 thirds. 5 thirds and 1 and 2 thirds. So let me use TIBO. Okay, the 5 is the top number, so it goes in. The 3 is the bottom number, so it goes out. How many times does 3 go into 5? 1 time. 1 times 3 is 3. 5 minus 3 is 2, so it would be 1 remainder 2. But here's where, again, this 2 is going to become my new numerator. Okay, I'm just going to do n this time, numerator. So it comes over here. Oh, I broke my pencil. Do I have enough ink? Yeah, it's not ink. Okay, 2. Okay, and then the number I divided by, this right here, becomes my denominator. Okay, and it goes right over here. Okay, 1 2/3. Okay, so I'm actually going to turn the page, and on the back, I'm just going to do some practice with you, okay, because I feel like this is something you need to practice. All right, and I meant to tell you, if you don't feel like you need to practice this, if you're like, okay, I got it, then I'm going to let you just move on. I am going to do some practice problems. If you don't feel like you need any, if you feel like this, let me see if I can back it up, is enough for you, then you can be done. But if you have trouble later, don't be afraid to come back and start this video at 7:27 or so and do some practice problems. Okay, I'm going to start with 13/4. Okay, and I'm not going to forget my TIBO, top in, bottom out. 13 is the top, 4 is the bottom. 4 goes into 13 3 times, because 3 times 4 is 12. Okay, 13 minus 12 is 1. The 1 comes up here to be the numerator, and the 4 comes over and becomes the denominator. So 13/4 equals 3 1/4. And you may notice that this denominator and this denominator are always going to be the same. So if you're thinking it's just coincidence, it's not. It's just that mathematically that's what's happening. Let's try 24/5. Top in, 24 in, bottom out, 5 out. 5 goes into 24 4 times. 4 times 5 is 20. 24 minus 20 is 4. The 4 becomes the numerator. The 5 becomes the denominator. 4 4/5. Okay? 4 4/5. Okay? Let's try an enormous one. Let's try, well, not enormous, 137 halves. Okay, 137 halves. Okay, 137 is the top. Top goes in, bottom goes out. 2 goes out. 2 doesn't go into 1, but it will go into 13. 2 goes into 13 6 times. 6 times 2 is 12. 13 minus 12 is 1. 7 comes down. 2 goes into 17 8 times. 8 times 2, 16. 17 minus 16 is 1. Numerator is 1. Denominator is 2. 68 1/2. Okay. Now, you may be wondering, is the number over here, is what it's equivalent to, always going to be a fraction? Well, let's try one. Let's do 50/5. Okay, 50/5. Okay, top in, bottom out. 50 is the top, goes in. 5 is the bottom, it goes out. 5 goes into 5, 1 time. 1 times 5. 5 minus 5, 0. 0. 5 goes into 0. 0 times. 0 times 5, 0. 10. So 50/5 is just 10. Okay? And this is where I like to remember that the division sign is just a fraction bar with unknown numbers. 50/5 or 50 over 5 is the same as 50 divided by 5. And 50 divided by 5 is 10. Okay? So there's just some practice problems for you to refer back to, and I tried to do several different kinds. So that is improper fractions to mixed numbers, and I wrote with a pen on the back so it bled through and it looks ugly. But I think you had an easier time seeing this work.